when it comes to, MPs and MP surgeries, we hear it from MPs all the time. If one person comes to us, we think, 10 other people have that issue. Someone writes to us, 10 other people have that issue. If someone actually comes and meets us,
80, isn't it?
80 or 100 people have that issue. They have this kind of mental math in their head. So even if like 3 or 4 Muslims in a given area went to an MP with a given issue,
planning permission,
be it halal meat, being protecting the carb, be it SRE policies. If 3 or 4 people go there, and then it gives the MP the impression that no, loads of other people have this issue as well, and then I take it seriously. Other communities do it. We just don't do it as well.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to today's Unscripted podcast. If you're in the UK, you'll know that Parliament has now dissolved. Your local MP is no longer your local MP. They are actually a candidate, probably, in the upcoming election. That's right, we're in general election time. And I was thinking, who better to talk to about the Muslim vote, the power of the Muslim, potential of the Muslim vote, than MEND. Assalamu alaikum, guys. We have 2 young whippersnappers, mashallah, from MEND. It shows that MEND is a youthful and dynamic organization, mashallah. I think you guys, both of you, I won't tell them your ages, but both of you have the accolade or the distinguished feature of being the youngest people on the Unscripted podcast, I think, even though youth workers were older than you.
Probably have our combined age.
Combined age probably less, yeah.
Some of your...
Maybe.
That's true.
I'm not including mental age. We'll find out. We'll find out as the podcast progresses, inshallah.
We'll try and keep that accolade.
Yeah. So
anybody you try and invite, no.
Sabotage.
So let us know who you are. Shoaib.
So Shoaib, I'm the London Regional Manager of MEND. So that means I take care of any kind of community events that MEND hold, any kind of volunteer work that we hold and we organise and strategise within London.
So you're young London community leader. Okay, got that.
Yep.
And we have Aman.
My name's Aman and I'm head of community.
He's actually just playing with
I'm playing with my toy over here.
He's not reading his name off a script or something. I don't think he's that. Mashallah.
So head of community development engagement at MEND. So looking after the national community engagement strategy.
So you're his boss?
I'm his boss.
Technically.
Is he a good boss?
We don't like to say those kind of words in MEND, though.
We don't have bosses, no.
You don't need to call him the B word behind his back.
It's a team effort. No whip required.
Not anymore.
He says that now.
Blink if you're in trouble.
He's already in trouble for not wearing a shirt and tie and a suit.
Why are you wearing a t-shirt, by the way?
I came dressed I thought it's going to be
he came dressed as well. But
do you know what I did? I did my research. I went on the Soundcloud podcast on YouTube and I scrolled through the videos and I saw which of your guests actually dressed smartly and which didn't. And the majority of your guests were actually dressing quite casually. So I thought I'd get away with it.
Okay.
You didn't share that memo with me.
And he also mentioned that he spilled something on his shirt before he started, so he had to wear a t-shirt. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Who should we vote for?
Shoaib. Mohammad Shoaib for Londonistan.
Inshallah. Okay. And if you're not in the constituency of London, Istan.
Aman can tell you that.
Yeah.
So you guys, you're not telling people to vote for certain people.
Yes, correct.
Or parties. Or being... excuse me.
Cut that out.
Just something in all the austerity in the air. Sorry.
Suffocating.
I think.
What's your plan? Because I mean, last general election, MEND. I don't know. Maybe you might have been in school then. The last general election, before you were allowed to vote, MEND did really nice research, kind of showing that Muslims are this percentage of this many swing seats and all that kind of good stuff. That Muslims, I don't think it was Sufyan. He was saying Muslims are punching above their weight. In that where I think 5% of the population.
Yep, just under 5%. Yeah.
If you ignore the illegal immigrants.
Yep.
But we have the voting power or something of the community.
We're going to a bit of trouble for saying that as well.
Really?
Yeah, with some of the right-wing press came after us for that.
I thought you meant because for the people who said voting's haram.
Oh, yeah. Them as well. Some PDFs were circulated as well.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I mean, we're 5% of the population, but
It must be more, by the way, it must be more than 5% now, right? That was in 2010.
Yeah,
And I don't mean to brag, but I've had like 2 kids since then.
You've had 2 kids.
I did my part for the ummah.
Do your part.
I was
No,
not allowed to vote yet.
The average is 4 and 5. You just contribute a bit more.
Yeah, inshallah, there's still time.
No, but the point is that we're 5% of the population, but we live in densely populated areas.
Yeah.
So Tower Hamlets, 100,000 Muslims, a significant population of the constituency here. Same in Birmingham. You've got some places in Birmingham that 50% of the constituency are Muslims.
Even at Blackburn, you've got some constituencies there. It's about 75% of of that ward, of that particular ward within Blackburn is 75%.
The EDA all right.
There's Muslim ghettos.
BNP all right. Taking over.
Sure,
I don't care why. I don't know why they care so much about Bradford being taken over there, but
if it starts with Luton as well,
value.
EDA started in Luton, didn't it?
Yeah. Okay. There's an airport there, but they don't want Muslims to get to.
Come and land.
So give us some stats. What's your aim for this? Any campaigns for this general election?
So the campaign we're running at the moment is called Get Out and Vote. So the idea behind that campaign is to encourage Muslims across the UK to make sure that they've, number one, registered to vote, and then they're actually using that right that they have as citizens of this country to actually, change the game, change the way that their elections are running, and actually put their vote in and have their voice heard. So that's the kind of a brief snapshot of what the campaign is actually for.
And the deadline to register to vote?
26th of November. So
26th
coming up very, very soon.
Okay. So if anything like me, you'll be on the 25th of November, the night before, scrambling to get it.
But I mean, most people have already registered without even realize. If you voted back in 2017, you probably are still registered for 2019.
Yeah.
Actually, funny story. So I put I put myself down to register to vote again, just in case. I thought, let me just do it. And then a few days ago, I got an email back saying electoral register rejection. I was like, huh? And then I clicked on it and I opened the PDF.
Get 2 votes each.
I thought it was a PDF like refutation on me, and I opened it and it said, "Oh, you already registered to vote." I was like, "Oh gosh."
So there's this thing though about if you're a student, for example, not another not another age gag, but if you are a student, there's this website that tells you which where to vote, because you have a choice, right? Whether to register in your halls of residence.
Yeah. So you have technically 2 addresses: your home address and then your university address.
Is that a legit thing, or is it dodgy?
It's legit. Yeah.
You can only cast 1 vote.
Yeah.
But depending upon, it's called tactical voting. So depending on which seat your vote is more.
What that website was? Anyone watching can maybe put a link in the description.
If you go
have
to
it on the screen, if there's magic of show business.
You go to the gov.uk website and you search in there registering to vote, it will give you the options for university students on there. I actually did that when I was in university, and there was campaigns going on campus that were being run to kind of let students know exactly what would be the best way to vote. Should it be in your home constituency? Should it be on campus?
Like if your home constituency is a safe vote, safe seat, and your university is in a swing seat, then
so you might as well. That's exactly you might as well vote in the swing seat.
Yeah. Or if someone's got mysteriously have multiple addresses for other reasons.
Tax audits.
We're looking at you.
One in the Cayman Islands, or do they get to vote?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. At the moment, actually, I was speaking to even some of our staff. One of our staff members is like an EU citizen, and was finding out whether they could vote or not, and they checked, and they can't vote. EU citizens don't have the right to vote in this election. It's very interesting. So you might want to check that at home if you're listening. If you don't have a red passport, or what was the color they were suggesting now? Blue or something, right?
Blue. Or rainbow colored. Anyway,
green for men.
Green for men.
Color
of Noor. And also the color of the Pakistan passport.
Yes.
Zindabad.
So your campaign, Get Out and Vote, once they do register to vote, I mean, one thing that a lot of Muslims have expressed, a complaint they've expressed in the past, that you're telling us to vote, but who do we vote for? And, why can't we vote as a community in a unified way? Have a block. And men's methodology has gone away from that model and gone more towards the Muslim manifesto.
Issues based,
Right.
basically.
So issue based. So rather than saying, "Hey, everyone, vote for Jeremy Corbyn," wink, wink.
I've seen the
instead
graphics that you guys have been putting out.
Instead of that, you're saying, "Hey, everyone, here's 10 points that the parties that we put to the parties, and Labour agreed to this many, and UKIP agreed to this many, and
So
not UKIP."
Shall we explain how that works then?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Did I do a good job of it?
You did.
You did.
Yeah. You can repeat it then.
But the wisdom behind that is maybe kind of
kind of quite low on that.
Yeah. No, so historically, Muslim communities have always voted, not just Muslim communities, but BME communities have always voted Labour. And the question is
black and ethnic
minorities, communities. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, fine, if you're voting that way, is the party delivering for your community? And so we want to kind of realign the thinking in that way, that it should be based upon what affects you in your life, in your daily life, your family, your local communities. And we as Muslims have various issues that are specific to our case. An example being kind of discrimination in the workplace. A lot of young people.
I thought you were going to bring up the thing which stung many brothers, which was limiting tax credits for 3 kids or something.
If that is an issue.
So education. What were you saying?
So I was saying
discrimination in the workplace. That's very important. That's more important stuff.
Or even if you're a student and you want a Sharia compliant student loan, that's an issue. So the Lib Dems actually signed up to that.
Even though we had quite a controversial article saying that the Sharia,
the loans are permissible.
Student loans are not loans and they're permissible anyway. But anyway,
let's not get into that.
You get the point. But even things like counter-terrorism legislation. So issues like Schedule 7, prevent.
Yeah.
We go to the candidates, and the idea is the Muslim community goes to the candidates and basically poses the question, okay, if you want my vote, then are you going to promise X, Y, Z? Why should I vote for you?
Yeah.
And that creates a quite an interesting dynamic in local communities, because what we do as men, we organise hustings, which is similar to Question Time, and that you see on BBC. You get the candidates together, and you get the local Muslim community together, and you.
How many hustings have you organised? It just.
In terms of what's being
the
planned,
campaigning officially only started a few days ago.
Only last week really. Yeah. So it's a lot of pressure to be able to get things out very quickly. But alhamdulillah, on the ground, men have got that grassroots presence. So we are aiming for, I think, roughly 50 hustings across the country.
50, mashallah.
Across the country. So we'll see how that turns out. At the moment, things are getting booked in, candidates are being met, and we're going to see kind of what we can do through our volunteers on the ground.
And we're targeting mainly the marginal areas. So we've identified in excess of about 50 areas where Muslims, because of the population of the electorate in that given area, they could have a significant say on the outcome of that election in that given
50
area.
areas?
About 50 areas. Yeah. So in
Take that, neocons. But what we need to do is build a giant wooden horse.
And then wheeling into.
Can we put your face on the front of the horse?
That's a Trojan horse gag if any slow people want to.
People at Birmingham will know that one.
Yeah.
Midlands areas will get that one, definitely.
But so 50, that's impressive, mashallah.
Yeah. Because as we mentioned at the beginning, that the Muslim population is so kind of geographically located densely in certain areas that there's a number of different constituencies that if even 50% of the Muslims turned out and actually voted, then it could totally change the way things work. So those are the kind of marginals that we've identified in those areas, and that's where that kind of 50 number is coming from.
And then historically, the older brothers tell us this, that in a lot of those areas, because of, historically they're voted for mostly Labour anyway, but even when it comes to selection and other kinds of political activism locally, it's very closely linked in some areas to the kind of almost tribal Baradari kind of system, where a few individuals, community leaders, they, if a candidate or a councillor or whatever, either from them or approaches them, and they sweeten them up, then the whole kind of extended family kind of votes for them. But the younger generation, they seem to be getting away from that system and more, I suppose, into this kind of stuff, issues based.
I think definitely that's what we're seeing. Just in terms of some of the already the conversations that we've had within the community when we've gone out, we've met with, maybe mosque leaders, we've had announcements at Jummas and things like that. People are generally looking more at what are the issues that are going to affect me. A conversation I had recently at an event, we had an event on Islamophobia at a masjid, and I had a conversation with somebody after, and they were saying how, a few weeks ago, the masjid had invited their MP, just based on the issue that he's going to promise them to get some sort of planning for a masjid. But a lot of that community now are going back to that imam, going to that masjid and saying that that's not really the real issue right now. It's not about these single issues. It's not about, we have generally, an Indian community or Pakistani community. So therefore, if that MP is pandering to that community, we should vote for him. It's more about what are the issues in society that the Muslims are facing. That's what we should be questioning these MPs about. So those conversations are actually coming out now.
Assalamualaikum guys, sorry to butt in, but if you're enjoying this podcast, please head over to islam20c.com/donate to help us make more. And if you're not enjoying it, head over anyway and help us make better ones. There's also the kind of tension between having a nice MP locally who's gonna work with you, build your masjid or whatever, work for your interests, but he or she might be in the party that you don't want to see the Prime Minister come from.
Exactly,
How are you getting around that obstacle? Because your hustings, if they're successful, and you might have, Brexit party or whatever, kind of hard right person, but hard right party, but by a stroke of luck or whatever, qadar, that person might be better than the other guys in that area. Then you end up kind of getting candidates for the other party. That's the kind of
so kind
tension with the whole not the first past the post, but the kind of MP system.
But the benefit there is fine. They may not be from the political party that a kind of the Muslim community or a faction of the Muslim community might want them to come from. But we've seen definitely in our political advocacy work, and kind of you have MPs from across the spectrum championing various pieces of legislation. So they might be from Conservative, Lib Dem, SNP, Labour. So the discussion needs to be about the issues that are affecting us, as opposed to
just something Margaret Thatcher said. You remember her?
You weren't alive. I don't think I was alive.
These jokes.
When
were you even alive?
When
Potax.
When what's the shaitan's name? Tony Blair. The other one, the smaller one. When Tony Blair won, came to rose to prominence, she apparently, I didn't hear it directly from her, but I heard attributed to her. She said, "You've won the argument when your opponents are coming out with your own your ideas and your own policies and stuff." So in that sense, the longer game is more powerful if you're building an infrastructure where Muslims can hold their MPs to account, can put their feet to the fire, so to speak, and have that longer term relationship with the office of the MP. That you promised to do this. Are you going to do it? We're watching you. Holding you to account, that kind of stuff. And then you're doing this manifesto, this issue-based system. Then it's actually a win for us as a community that the Tories, the Lib Dems, even the Brexit Party, the Greens or whatever, that they're agreeing to do to the XYZ issues.
Exactly.
So regardless of who's in power, you're getting some benefit.
Because a disaster when I remember one election with in the London mayor election, when it was Boris versus Ken Livingstone, a lot of the Muslim community, I used to live in London then, a lot of us were just clear like Ken. But when Boris won, he was like, forget all of you Muslims. And,
so we had no say in any of the policies or any of the actions he took after. But another example is, I'll take the example of the Jewish community. If you look at how they used to vote, say in the 70s and 80s, it used to be very significantly Labour vote. But now that's become 50-50 almost, where 50% goes to Conservative, 50% goes to Labour and other parties. And so you've got the political parties now vying for the Jewish vote, so to speak, and they want to pledge as much as they can to that community to secure that vote. We just want to create the same exact dynamic.
I mean, it's a trade-off between having one party that will be your, maybe 70% good stuff for you,
for your issues,
or everyone maybe 50-60% of your issues. So
yeah.
I think that's a safer.
Yeah. I think kind of that's the mindset that we want to change within the Muslim community as men, that we want the Muslim community to engage with politics with a long-term mindset in mind. I think, that was one of the reasons why MEND actually came about, was that we were seeing that generally the Muslim community, I won't use the word uneducated, but just didn't have that kind of long-term vision of how long are we going to be around here as a community and how much can we really impact the political kind of climate within the UK. And MEND came out of that wanting to get the Muslims to really understand that, and so that's the key message that we really want to drive home. So even if
you're not here on holiday, you live here, you belong here.
Exactly.
Try and make the place a better place.
Make a difference.
I mean, I remember that's one thing that kind of a pet peeve of mine when. I remember, I won't say which masjid. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I was in a Jum'ah, and they had a khatib come from another country, and he started by saying, something like, "We're so grateful for these non-Muslims to allow us in their country and practice our religion." And I was just sitting there with my head, hands in my head in my hands, thinking, the other guy was probably thinking, "Wow, he's mashallah, he's so much pious, so pious, man." I was like, "What the hell is this guy saying, man?" It's a really bad image or message to send to especially our young people, that you don't belong here, you're just here temporarily, you're a guest.
Exactly.
Be a nice guest, be a gracious, be kind to our gracious host and that kind of stuff. The younger people, I think they need an empowered message saying, I don't want to swear or anything, but get lost if you don't like my deen, or this is me. If you don't like what I'm doing, or if you don't like part of my
we shouldn't shy away from.
That's why I think I'm really bad. I'm a really bad da'i. I would be really bad. I'm not,
you don't do the softy approach.
I mean, people in Iran, mashallah, like Hamza George, we had on, very compassionate and stuff. I would just be like, go to hell if you don't. I don't want to come and say fine.
Ira, make sure you do not hire Dr. Salman for your da'wah work.
Yeah, things turn south. South Trinity, I might come coming with cap in hand or something. But I mean, and that's my. I'm not saying that's how you should be. It's just how I am. I mean,
but wasn't it Shaykh? I remember Shaykh saying once that you as a Muslim, being brown, being of ethnic minority, being of whatever other kind of difference you have, you might have, you have just as much right to shape the future of this country as any middle-aged white man.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I found that message so powerful, and that's something that all of us. When I heard that for the first time, like, wow, okay, that's really true. And then that kind of actually made me change my behavior, because we do a lot of work in Parliament. And being in Parliament, sometimes you feel a bit inferior. There's inferiority complex being in that environment, because you think like I don't really belong here. But then when that message was given to me, okay, now I went into those spaces with my chest broad.
That's the kind of confidence that we want to inspire within Muslims, because that's how thinking like a leader, thinking like a winner. You were put here on this earth to lead mankind, to be
100%.
a steward, to look after this earth, to look after the environment, the people, make sure there's justice. And if you see something bad in front of you, the worst thing to do is to think, I can't change it.
I can't do much. Or
what can I do? I'm just one person. Or
it's not going to change if I do anything.
Apathy.
And
dangerous.
You have almost a guarantee that if you don't do anything, it won't change.
Exactly.
That's the thing. But if you do try, you're more likely to change it. That's the irony with voting, and because if enough people do it, a lot of people claim there's no point in voting. The system's all the same. The people in charge are gonna remain in charge. The deep state and all that kind of stuff. But the irony is, if the same number of people who had that opinion actually did something, they would completely change the system overnight.
And let's
not
say
overnight, but it would make earthquakes.
And let's say even we take that argument and we say that, okay, fine, let's say it's true that it's not going to change and nothing's going to happen. But the fact is that Allah has given us a tool to use. and he's only going to be judging us on the efforts that we put in, not on the result that comes from it. So even if nothing does happen, when it comes to the day of judgment, and Allah asks us, what did you do to change that situation for the Muslims? I gave you a tool where you could have voted and changed everything. Even if the result did not change, what did you do? What was your part? So even that should be enough for somebody to think, I should do my part and just putting my vote in, even if you still believe it's not going to make a difference.
Yeah. In the time of Banu Israel, the famous story Allah mentioned that he gave them a test that don't, I think, catch fish on the Sabbath. The famous story, some of them disobeyed Allah and some of them obeyed Allah. But there's a interesting dispute recorded in Surah Araf, I think. Some of them are saying, why are you warning them? Why are you telling them don't do that? Allah will punish them. Why are you wasting time? They're not going to change. And their response is very, very important for us. It should be taken as a principle in life, in dawah and activism. They said, قَالُوا مَعْذِرَةً إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ. They said, so we have an excuse before your Lord.
Subhanallah.
That's why we're doing it. وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. And maybe they might fear Allah. But maybe, so that was a kind of secondary. Maybe they might listen, but the primary thing for us is what we're going to say in front of Allah. Right? So if Allah has given us some ability, right, to at least even try to make our voice heard, saying this is wrong, even out of protest, even if you're thinking there's no good quality candidate, go to a voting booth and
just
draw
something.
Just swear at them right and say each one of these is blah blah blah. Beep 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 beep. And then just put it in. But you're at least making some kind of protest.
But the point is, so if you have that attitude, that's what's going to happen. But when it comes to MPs and MP surgeries, we hear it from MPs all the time. If one person comes to us, we think 10 other people have that issue. Someone writes to us, 10 other people have that issue. If someone actually comes and meets us,
80, isn't it?
80 or 100 people have that issue. They have this kind of mental math in their head. So even if 3 or 4 Muslims in a given area went to an MP with a given issue,
planning permission,
be it halal meat, being protecting the niqab, be it SRE policies. If 3 or 4 people go there, and then it gives the MP the impression that loads of other people have this issue as well, and then I take it seriously. Other communities do it. We just don't do it as well.
Subhanallah. So we don't have any MPs right now.
No, we don't.
We don't.
But what's interesting, we've got loads of Muslim MPs candidates coming forward.
Is representation of Muslims in Parliament, is that a good thing? I'm asking devil's advocate here, because I think partly I think it's good. But obviously, if
not very much.
It turns out
we could have had a good debate there. You just gave it away.
It turns out to be a waste, man. It's kind of a bad thing, isn't it? But not saying anything. Any names?
I mean, at the moment, within Parliament, we're underrepresented, both in the House of Commons and in the House of Lords, quite significantly.
I thought we had quite a lot of beards. I've never had a laugh and a face palm at this thing. He tried to style it out. He's like, I'm just thinking.
That joke wouldn't go down well in Yorkshire.
Wouldn't.
I've made that joke before and it did not go down well.
In a funny story, we met Lord Nazir Ahmed once. He gave a talk at some FOSIS thing when I was in FOSIS. And he goes, when he was appointed as a lord in the House of Commons, he said there were actually some sheikhs in Birmingham or something who complained publicly, saying that and I quote, the appointment of beards is not a matter for the Queen to get involved in. It's a personal, it's a community issue. That's what he said anyway. A bit of masala on his side, but anyway, sorry, you were saying.
I was saying right now it's
underrepresented.
Underrepresented, and for us to have that kind of equal representation according to our population, what will allow us to do is to make sure that our voice is heard. And I know there's that debate.
Do you need the MP to be Muslim though?
No. You don't need the MP to be Muslim, but in fact,
someone could argue it's better if they're not, because they wouldn't turn around and do a Barack Obama on us.
True.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's
ignore
fair
their own
argument.
communities
No, definitely.
out of fear of being
Yeah.
accused of pandering to your own people.
No, it's true, because we shouldn't just vote for somebody simply because they're Muslim. We have to look at what's their track record.
If anything, in some cases, we'd advise not to.
Yeah,
vote for
advise not
Muslim.
to. Yeah, and we have to see, what's
I think
the
my
track
local
record.
Brexit party candidate is Muslim as well.
Oh,
There's a
really?
few.
I think,
There's
yeah.
loads.
Yeah, there's a
lot of,
couple. There's a
Asian,
couple.
Loads of Khans and
Yeah.
and other
This one's a
surnames in there.
Qatari. Maybe he's
They
Hindu
really
or
got
Sikh,
roped
or
in.
He's Asian. Yeah.
Rope a dope.
So yeah, I mean, where was I?
You're talking about underrepresentation.
Yeah, underrepresentation. So yeah, we wouldn't vote for them simply because they're Muslim. We have to see whether they're really going to be, championing the causes for the Muslim community. And you may see in many cases that there are non-Muslim MPs that are doing that better than the Muslim MPs.
But it is heartening to see our community it's a sign of more confidence. It's a sign of feeling that they belong.
That was going to be
here.
my point. Yeah, that if we do see that representation, it shows that to the wider public, even if within Muslim circles we disagree that somebody is a representative of us, from the wider community, wider society, they're seeing that, okay, these are Muslims and they're actually being active within politics, and that starts to have a change within the public opinion about Muslims. It starts to have a change about the discourse that Muslims can have within politics. It has a change in how we're represented in the media as well. It leads on to many good things. So it's
I always say that in the 90s, the kind of Muslim that was acceptable in sports was a kind of Nasser Hussain type. Not to say anything bad about him, but just it was an interesting comparison, I thought. That was or maybe Prince Nassim. He was kind of pushing he was a bit too Islamic, or he said a bit of Arabic words or something.
Allahu Akbar.
He said a bit of Allahu Akbars.
Allahu Akbar.
But now you have the beard that's feared. You have Moeen Ali.
Yeah.
You have loads of people making sujood on football pitches and whatnot. And it's a gradual process for people to feel, not that necessarily one causes the other, but I don't think without Nasser Hussain you couldn't have without the period of the Nasser Hussain types, you wouldn't have the Moeen Alis.
No.
Right, with people feeling that this is something, young people looking and seeing someone like them and going into that field, and
you might even say it's a similar thing with maybe even Siddiq Khan or even Sajid Javid. You might even say that's a similar thing, because that they not for that reason, but the fact
dads
that
were bus drivers.
the fact that doors are opening for ethnic minorities, doors are opening for
I mean, there's a lot can be said about him, but the fact of the matter is, you didn't get invited to Trump's dinner, so it shows that you still have some level of iman in there, maybe, or some maybe mustard seed of something in there, even though obviously he's in terms of policies and ideas, belief stuff, but I think it's important. But on a zoomed in level, you might have one person who's a right kind of so-and-so, a khabith, or someone who's kind of selling out his own community, throwing everyone under the bus and that kind of stuff.
Unfortunately, we do have examples of that.
That's important to recognize, but you can't use that as an excuse to say no one get involved. Right? In fact, that's the opposite. That's an argument for more representative people getting involved.
And I think throughout history we see that a lot of the times we're stepping on the shoulders of people who we may even disagreed with. If you take, for example, maybe certain media personalities that seem to be Muslim, but they also seem to be sellouts. But in a few years' time, in a few decades' time, we're actually going to be standing on their shoulders because they paved the way. We've got Muslims now who have a confident identity, who are able to display their Islam, who are able to be, out there Muslims and not be, labeled as sellouts. And they're able to do that because, they're stepping on the shoulders of those people who came before, who necessarily don't seem to be kind of
so it was an entryist plan all along.
Everyone knew that.
Creeping Sharia.
Creeping Sharia.
Yeah, put that hashtag in the title.
Assalamualaikum guys, me again, reminding you to head over to islam21c.com/donate to keep the lights on Islam21c. We pride ourselves on being independent and being funded by the grassroots community. Maybe after the election's done. So you guys, I was asking if I could see some of your stats, some of your graphics and stuff.
So
get some empowering messages out about the importance of Muslimic vote.
If I can just
The vote
remember
in
my
general.
code.
So did you get his PIN number? Yeah.
1, 2,
Zoom in.
3,
4 zeros. Same as my.
So how should I display this?
Card PIN number.
Should I pin it out?
Let me
You have a look.
So through the magic of show business, we'll have people.
Swipe it and we'll just
People be able to see at home. So Muslim voters are less likely to vote compared to the average Briton.
Yep.
Really?
Mm.
Astaghfirullah. What's the normal turnout?
Why do you think that is?
Why do you think that is good?
They don't think that their vote's going to matter.
They're obviously there still are the arguments, the people that would say it's haram and kufr and I'm not voting because I want to stay Muslim and that kind of stuff. You can't ignore that.
No, you can't. But I think that's diminishing. I think it might have been a bigger problem.
Say not aware of any imams or scholars or anything in the UK.
No.
Do you know any that are?
No, not prominent ones. No.
As far as we've seen, the ones that we've interacted with, the research that we've done, me personally, I haven't found any scholars in the UK
and
mainstream.
Not even any random kind of imam somewhere hidden up in Bradford or something.
They're the ones who want you to
get. Yeah. I mean,
there's the fringe. There's definitely the fringe.
But are they like seen as scholars even amongst the community and
generally no?
Generally no, but I mean, we shouldn't kind of be completely dismissive. I mean, there's some people who have that position.
There's a lot of activists. I mean, some of them make compelling arguments about, you know, but they're not like apathetic. They're not like political quietists. There's some of those as well, but there's some brothers
who are active.
Personally, you know, they're very active in politics and stuff, but they're just saying voting doesn't do anything or
So they say get involved in the political process, but not in party politics or not in kind of. So once people have been elected, work with those individuals, work with in terms of political advocacy and taking those lobbying routes and other means.
But it doesn't that kind of Russell Brand style. Remember he was saying in the last election.
But then last minute he changed.
It's like there's no point in voting for another. It's all rubbish.
It kind of went downhill after that.
Ed Miliband.
He started losing his truth views.
Yeah,
it went a bit downhill after that.
So
he's a good supporter of Ment. He loves Ment.
Really?
Yeah.
That's his career done.
to quote him, say I might misquote him. If you don't want to be kind of, if you don't want your brain spoiled by the
mad mind of
mind of Rupert Murdoch, come visit the Ment website.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
There you go. Plug that.
I don't have a thing for that.
Oh, come on.
I have a kind of a.
Just do the.
There you go. That shows maybe our stuff is overwhelmingly negative. Right, so Muslims are less like. What's the average kind of turnout for elections?
67% is
67,
And you're saying Muslims are less than that?
47, I think, from the Muslim population.
So less than half.
Yeah.
So you're saying the main thing is apathy? Main reason is apathy, or
apathy, and also I think it's linked to apathy. We have a lot of people in our community who may think, like they don't even know. Maybe some of them aren't even aware the election is happening. As bizarre as that sounds.
Yeah. I'm
talking about kind of.
If you're busy with your work and or your life, family, and that kind of stuff.
I'm kind of talking like my mum's generation, for example. They might be completely oblivious to what's happening in the wider
take
world.
some ads out on like Channel S or ZTV or something.
ZTV.
We'll get you to do the Urdu ones.
आपका कोई accident हुआ? Claim today.
That's it. There's commission.
Vote today.
We'll give you commission for that.
Are there any stats on other minority groups?
So you're 2 steps ahead. We're 1 step behind.
Mohammad, you need to find those.
I'm sure it's available. I'm sure it's easily
job
available.
going for you in
Men researcher.
Yeah.
We pay quite well. I don't know how much Islam 21C pays you.
We're yet to pay him, I think.
They just say feasibility.
Okay. Order. Right. So, not knowing.
Yep.
We need to, I think, tackle these issues. So not knowing that there's an election, not being
so lack of education about politics generally.
So
apathy. How do you?
The apathy one's a good. So you have to make it. You have to bring about an issue which relates to them. So my mum, for example, she was in a club, and so I spoke to her about voting. And she was like, why should I bother voting? What's it in it for me? I said, Mum, look what's happening in Europe. Niqab's been banned in various parts of Europe. We're seeing that. We're seeing even halal meat being banned or highly regulated in some places in Europe.
I think halal meat would be enough for most Muslims.
Exactly, and that's the buzzword we use.
Halal meat?
Halal meat, that's it. And in Lancashire, I think in Lancashire, I don't know if it's a policy that they've put in place to ban unstunned halal meat.
Yeah, it's the first place that's done it.
In the UK. Now, you may think, okay, that's only one part of the country, but you don't know what's going to happen a couple of years down the line.
Yeah. And we're seeing the pattern.
Is this Project
in
Fear?
Europe.
Project Fear.
It works.
You're going to take away your HMC licenses.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the most recent controversy in the Muslim community.
We can edit that out, don't worry. Trust me, Will. Don't edit it out.
It's been SRE,
Yeah.
right? That's been the most recent one. And a lot of people...
Because they keep changing it. SRE, RSC, RE.
Yeah, I can't keep up with the acronyms.
Yeah. I think that's
MEND,
part
we
of
have way
the
too many
plan.
acronyms as well.
Yeah,
I can't keep up with half of them. Even MEND itself, Muslim Engagement and Development.
Yep.
Islam 21C.
This guy wants to get fired.
So point being, is
Mahmoud, I might have a job for you. I might have a job for you, mate.
London Regional Manager. Got to see it go up tomorrow online. Got to come into work. The code's going to be changed.
We'll call you, don't call us. So you're saying something about controversy.
Yeah, controversy of the SRE issue.
Yeah.
Aman, don't get me started on. He's the worst with these.
These are so young, man. These are proper young, immature little kids.
You're the.
I feel properly at home now.
You're fueling this.
I know. I feel at home now. You guys are like, I'm like close to my mental age.
Yeah.
You're my elders, I think, emotionally.
So with the SRE issue, a lot of Muslims are saying, how are we going to have our say in this particular thing? And you're seeing messages from different MPs taking it differently. Some are supportive of it. Some are saying, no, we're with the, some of the Muslim community who say that we're against it. And the Muslim community really just want to know, how can we make our difference? And this is one of the ways you can make this difference.
And it's important not to show it, though, not to sell it as some kind of quick fix.
Yes.
Because people might be like, okay, look, who do I vote for to stop our SRE? It's not gonna happen like that. Right?
Interestingly enough, I think the Muslim community and just generally anyway, we've come into an age where we want instant results for everything. Is that whole kind of society today of instant gratification, right? And that has played, further into now our politics as well, and how we view kind of the situation within our society. We want everything to change quickly, and as Muslims should be the first one to know that things take a while to change. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's something that you have to keep trying. And this is going to be a generational, kind of game. It's not going to shift overnight.
Yeah. They deselected Roger Godsiff.
Yep.
In
Midlands, what area was it?
In Birmingham somewhere. Because of his support of the community there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not a quick fix. But if Muslims were involved in the parties that, not a particular party, but any party that you kind of feel at home with in their policies and stuff, if they're involved in that, if they had a say when it came to these decisions, some people say, it's the real time to get involved is when candidates are being fielded for parties
right from the beginning.
Because that's when, but sometimes more important than the actual election day.
Yeah.
Because
and the same applies to kind of how legislation is passed. We always get the Muslim community always kind of a big furore and outrage right at the last minute.
Can you undo everything you've just done?
We start all over again. But the point is, we need to be on top of the game right from the beginning. The prime example I give is back. I think it was 2007. A long time ago, where
I won't make any jokes about about how you end nappies in.
So the legislation with regards to racial and religious hatred was being discussed to equalize the protections for racial communities and religious communities. So for those who are not maybe aware, racial communities, so if you're black, Jew or Sikh, then if someone insults you verbally because of your race or use abusive language towards you, then that's seen as a crime if it was likely that racial hatred would have been stirred up. When it comes to religious communities, so Muslims, Hindus and Christians as well, if you can insult someone because of their religion, You can use abusive language towards someone because of the religion. It only becomes a crime when the intent
if you're able to prove
the intent, which is a very high threshold. So it's very difficult to prosecute someone on that. Back in 2007, that legislation was being kind of discussed. And I think the MCB were very heavily involved at that time to try and pass that legislation. Had that happened back in 2007, some of the hate crimes that we see on the streets, some of the kind of the likes of Kate Hopkins and some of the articles that we see written in columns and newspapers, you wouldn't see them. They wouldn't have been allowed.
And arguably, maybe some of the attacks that people who get kind of almost radicalized by reading these myths and stereotypes and lies.
But the most important thing is, do you know how many votes that legislation didn't pass?
How many?
By one vote.
What?
One vote. And the person who tabled the vote, tabled the bill in the first place, he himself didn't turn up on the day. It's ridiculous. Had he turned up, had one other person turned up, had the Muslim community known that it was such a critical piece of legislation.
So this is an example of Muslims listen, yeah? I feel like just...
I mean, we can point fingers. We were kids at the time.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Muslims, listen. Anyone who's saying don't vote, what does voting do, or what's the point of the system? Not going to change. This is an example of one vote being needed for a. I'm surprised. I'm almost kind of in disbelief. No offense, but I'm going to Google this later on. But
you don't trust the research of
one MP's vote away from such a massive seismic change in terms of protections for the Muslim community here.
Yeah. And somebody might say that, oh well, that's just one example, that's isolated incident. But we're seeing in comparing from the last election, what could have swung the vote, and you're seeing constituencies that are 20 votes, 100 votes.
In one place in Scotland, 2 votes.
Two votes. So these are not isolated incidents. These happen, and it's those 20 people who said my vote is not going to make a difference that would have made a difference.
That sentiment that your vote is not going to make a difference, right? I think there's a vested interest for those in power, those benefiting from the status quo, to encourage that sentiment spreading.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Even amongst Muslims, if you see the real extremists, the real people who are subjected to attacks from Islamophobic, racist politicians and media outlets, tend to be those Muslims who are encouraging Muslims to gain power and influence and get involved in those who are saying leave it, it's a kafir system, it's a batil system, leave it. They actually,
they're helping that.
They're helping the status quo exist and persist, right? Because that's like the ideal type of citizen, this ideal type of almost a secularized kind of a pacified individual. They'll talk a lot. They'll say, "Oh, I don't like what you're doing in this country, that country, or foreign policy, whatever." But when it comes to the actual
time
crunch,
to make change,
how you can actually get rid of that MP that you don't like so much, you've been complaining about so much. They'll just they won't we didn't present a threat.
We didn't
to that
learn
person.
our lessons as a community from British colonized India. It was a very similar thing that had happened with the different parts of the Muslim community, and some parts of those Muslim communities saying, we'll stay quiet about this, and some of them actually being active about it, and the ones that stayed quiet actually made the situation worse.
Anyway, sorry to get vexed.
But that's what politics is.
Where's your vex button?
Well,
just smash it. Smash the whole thing.
That one. Yeah.
Do you want to move to Scotland? Do you want to move to Scotland?
I want to move to that place with 2
votes. Just ship your family over. Then that's it. Job done.
Just be. How long do you have to live there?
I don't know.
How long as you're registered to your address?
You have to be registered to address. Yeah.
Just marry someone there. Sorry, just kidding. Just cut that out. Cut that out. That was a joke.
How many spaces do you have left out of your 4?
Moving on. Show me some more of these graphics, bro.
I can't remember.
I just got a message before now.
Gosh.
So apathy. I mean, your vote has the potential to do something.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, let's be frank. Some areas it doesn't. I mean, just
trying to help you here, man.
Not trying to say that men are trying to paint a message that in every.
Just move.
I mean, some cases there are like 70,000, 60,000 majorities.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're not gonna change. Certainly not in this election. But okay, let's even think about 20,000 marginals or even 10,000 marginals. If you're not happy with the politics in your area, then we've seen how marginals have dwindled and then become marginals.
Eventually.
It might be a good idea to define a marginal.
Safe seat has been dwindled into a marginal.
Yeah. So what we mean by marginal is that there's only a very slight difference in the required number of votes to win that election. So it might be 10 extra votes, so the other candidate would have made it win for the other candidate, and the other candidate won instead.
I think it's I was going to say Mohammad. Sorry, I forgot.
Pull up a stat.
Stat break.
Stat break.
In terms of like, if you Muslims can, let me have this. Okay, what do we have here? This next. So, did you choose that one?
Yeah,
as a good one to.
I want to plug in.
Muslims
a
can
thing.
significantly impact on the results in over 80 constituencies.
Yeah,
I've been hearing loads of different numbers. Right, you said 50 and then 80. What's going on here, man?
So
what does that mean?
Significantly means that. So the rationale we've got is, okay, if there's the vote victory was say 500 votes.
Yeah.
If there's 1,000 Muslims in that area, okay, that's double the marginal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite
double the margin.
Double the margin of victory, and that's quite a significant. That's
there's 80 of these.
And there's 80 of those.
Okay, so in other words, the Muslim electorate, not just Muslims, but over the age of 18 and
over the age of 18,
they number more than the margin.
One over the margin, you could say.
One over the margin. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so what we're doing as a campaign is we're gathering an election army. We've built it and we've called it an election army, recruiting volunteers to go to those areas. I thought there was going to be another end of that. So basically, we're just going out to the communities, going to those areas, those 80 areas that we've identified, and literally sending an army of volunteers to those communities.
Is Slough one of them?
Slough is one of the marginals, but I'm not sure if it's a significant one.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's significant.
Slough had a big UK presence.
You got the date in front of you. So places.
I'm only saying because I live in Slough now. So
now,
I moved to Slough 6 years ago. Represent. Alhamdulillah.
Where's that button?
No one's proud of that in this room.
Actually,
that's the one. Yeah. So we're sending out volunteers to those areas, literally in men t-shirts, going out and then basically encouraging people to make sure they're registered to vote.
Okay.
And also that prior to the election, we're going to encourage that there's masjid announcements, khutbahs taking place, posters out in places, reminding people of the date of the election, make sure they go out and vote as well. And then we're going to send out the graphic that you referenced earlier, whereby we're going to inform the community, okay, which party has promised what in terms of the Muslim manifesto.
Okay.
So
tell me more about that.
I've got the information for Slough if you want to know.
Yeah, go on. Is that you got the whole database of the brains of men in there?
The brains of men in there.
Did you get a look at his password?
For Slough, the majority that's needed is 17,000, and the Muslim population is 35,000.
Wow.
So nearly is double.
Yeah.
So wait a second.
What's needed?
The lead was 17,000.
Yeah.
So that's a safe seat then, isn't it?
No, but the Muslim population in Slough is 35,000. So hypothetically, depending on if they're all over age of 18 and they register to vote, they could, and if they all turn out to vote, they could potentially totally change.
Our local MP is Dan Manjeet.
Yes, I can say
Dan Manjeet. He's the one who
he spoke out against
famously delivered many Hadoukens to Boris Johnson. I can't take any credit for that. I've never met him in my life.
He did. No, but he did a really good job on that, and we shared a video. And thanked him as well. And he's a big supporter, a good supporter of MEND as well, and the policy pledges that we're working towards as well in terms of our Muslim manifesto.
I mean, one of the brothers in Slough, I won't mention his name, but he was so angry at how the same brothers who have been saying for years, don't vote, don't vote, don't vote, are then sharing this guy's
video.
Think, oh wow, look at this MP, and then he's like, what the fuck? So yeah, moral of the story is get involved, and then you can have a say, you know, in what happens in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
Even I remember what I was going to say now. When it comes to the so-called safe seats, it's still, I think, in my opinion, very important to still vote, not just because it could dwindle or whatever, but just to send a message out that even if you know this person's going to win, giving them your support and giving them a massive margin, it will maybe scare off others, or it might give a sign that they have your support. And unfortunately, if a lot of people are kind of just thinking there's no point, there's a massive margin of 10,000, 20,000, whatever, and there's no point in me voting, if 20,000 people are thinking like that the day of the election, then that margin's gone
completely. And we've seen some quite significant swings happen in the last. I mean, we've had 3 elections now in 4 years. 2015, 2017, now 2019. Now we've had 3 elections now in 4 years.
Don't treat any. I would say, be on the safe side. Don't treat any seat as a safe seat. Truly. Because that was history. That was then. The election is going from scratch. It's not like you've got an aggregate that you've got the votes from last time plus.
Exactly.
And this the whole audience inhibition thing. A spectator kind of. If you think a lot of people are gonna turn out and do it, then you're gonna be like, oh, they're not gonna miss me. But then, if enough people are thinking the same thing, that could be a disaster.
Yeah, that's why it's so important for us to. Once again, like we've said it so many times, make sure you register to vote.
Register to vote. Get out and vote. That's what our campaign is called.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Last reminder, I promise. Head over to islam21c.com/donate to help this movement get to the next level. So we have genuine, high-quality media articulating Islam in the 21st century and developing confident Muslims impacting the world for the better. A lot of people have been saying that this is the defining election of a generation, or the most important election, since Plato or whatever. But why is that? Why is this election in particular important compared to maybe the last few elections?
I think there's a number of reasons. One is we spoke about marginals. In the last election, I think we had the Conservative parties. So we have 650 MPs in total. And to do a bit of quick maths, you need half and plus 1 to form a government. So you need 326 seats in order to form a majority government. Historically, most famously was back when I think 2010 election happened, where Conservative and Lib Dem had to come to coalition.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Shoaib was in nursery.
Shoaib was in nursery. But then more recently, in the recent election, Conservative had to go in coalition with DUP. Okay, and they only had 10 seats, but how much leverage they were able to get.
And they don't have a majority anymore.
They've lost their majority now, and Labour have significantly gained seats as well to get closer to that majority. And for that reason, it's so like almost neck and neck now that it becomes Muslims will have a significant part to play. And that's why, as you said, that's why people are saying that this is one of the most significant elections for the history of Muslims, as long as they've been here in the UK.
But the other point is, in terms of the politics being displayed at the moment. Normally, I mean, historically, it's always been centre right or centre left politics. So it's pretty much not much. You can
more
tell
of an actual choice now.
There's an actual different choice. You got a very
not
left.
Just 2 different shades of neoliberalism.
No, it's not. You've got actually 2 very different politics be put in front of us, and we do have to make a decision as to what kind of politics is going to be best for the Muslim community.
And with the climate of Islamophobia right now, that's all the more of a reason to take this election seriously.
So I mean, I was thinking, because the abbreviation UKIP is now available again. What about a UK Islamic Party? You heard it here first, folks.
Are you going to be the
Emir? I'll be the Emir.
Amir.
Yeah.
What's going to be your policies? Put together a quick manifesto.
Yeah, go on.
I'll just agree with whatever you ask.
What's your hashtag?
Vote for me and I won't kill you.
Men do not co-sign anything that
No, we do
Salman
not
puts
endorse.
We're
The
not,
UK party.
we're not signing up
I'm
to your
not saying
manifesto.
wait. I'm not saying if you don't vote me, I'll kill you. Yeah, that's an inference you're making here. I'm non-violent. I'm just pointing out the fact I won't kill you. I'm not a violent
But you said
person.
if.
I said vote for me. I won't kill you.
Oh, okay. It's not okay, but okay.
Yeah. Okay, but okay. Tell us about Islamophobia Awareness Month, because this is Islamophobia Awareness Month, and I'm keen to get this some of these messages out to the
Islamophobia Awareness Month is this month. It's all in the name. It's about raising awareness of Islamophobia. Started in 2012 and now we're all the way to 2019.
So do you think, when was the first time you did it? 2012, so 7th year? 8th year?
So the campaigns existed before Men, actually.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
before Men. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you looked to your line manager here for approval to say that.
No, it's been independent of Men
So
when it
since
started.
it's been going, have you seen an improvement in the quality and the level of Islamophobia?
that totally threw me off. I was about to say yes.
Just add a few disarming things in there just to make sure you're not
trying to get
on
me
autopilot.
refuted. You're going to put these clips out and get me refuted.
Make sure you're not on autopilot in it and you're listening to what I'm saying. So, tell us what it's about in terms of this year. Are there any special themes or it's kind of been disrupted now because of the election? Isn't it? Or are you going to use
no,
that
actually, so it's being used as a good way to kind of get people engaged, to let people know that Islamophobia is one of the...
All of the events are Islamophobia Awareness Month / hustings.
But it's...
the room's already booked.
Exactly, yeah, there you go.
Fully booked.
That's how we're doing it. But yeah, it's being used, to be able to educate people about
it's not just a men thing, is it?
It's not just a men thing, that's what I was going to mention. It's not just a men thing. Anybody can get involved in it, and that's what we've seen over the the last few years, and especially this year, is that beyond men, people are just picking this up and they're going along with it. Similar to Black History Month, it's not something which is owned by an organization, but it's something which everybody feels passionate about in that month.
Similar to Kiss a Ginger Day.
I wasn't aware of that one.
You didn't hear of that?
No. I think you
it's
should
put
your crickets.
Cricket. That's the one.
There you go.
Now I know which one to press.
Yeah. You don't have the right to do that yet.
No?
Yeah. You have to earn it.
Do you have to register to...
So
what's going on?
What's going on at the moment is...
Anything in Slough?
If you introduce us, we'll do something in Slough.
Nothing happening in Slough. Slough has 35,000 Muslims, I have
Subhanallah.
We're double the swing.
I didn't know that.
And we have the first Sikh turban-wearing MP in Parliament.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, MashaAllah, tabarakallah.
So there's a number of events happening across the country. I think it's possibly about 150 events being organised.
Just by MEND.
Just by MEND. And then beyond that, there's going to be organisations taking part in Islamophobia Awareness Month. Events range from, plays and drama acts about Islamophobia to panel sessions to presentations to football tournaments to treasure hunts even. So there's a whole host of ways that people are getting involved with Islamophobia Awareness Month.
MashaAllah. Where can they find out about it?
So you could go to the MEND website, mend.org.uk, and find events there that are specifically men-based, or to find any events on Islamophobia Awareness Month, you could go to islamophobia-awareness.org, and you should be able to find many, many events there.
Yeah. And the hashtag we're pushing is I am change.
I am
this year's
change,
campaign.
Yeah. That's the theme. Do you wanna?
So the whole idea is that obviously as Muslims and why, because the point is Islamophobia isn't just a Muslim problem. It's a problem.
I was just thinking, how did that come across? You saw the signs in my face of a joke brewing. Yeah.
So
it'll come when you least expect it.
Yeah. So
now basically you were confronted by someone saying, "You can't change, you can't bring about change," and then you were like,
"I am change.
I am change," and he was like, "Okay, hashtag I am change."
That's the one.
I just realized I am.
Exactly.
I am.
Islamophobia Awareness Month.
Not just a pretty face. Yeah.
Well
the brain behind there.
Caught on.
Okay. Islamophobia Awareness Month. Change.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's the campaign. Okay. That's the hashtag. So if anyone wants to support it, a very small thing you can do is use that hashtag to try and speak about how you're creating change. Yeah.
Are you organising an event at your local school?
I'm trying to stop myself. I'm trying to stop myself reacting. Proper throw me under the bus this whole episode.
Oh gosh.
There's a important thing though about universities, isn't it? So are you doing events at universities or?
Yeah. A lot of universities have got in touch with us across the country, specifically in London. We've had multiple. I can't even remember the number, but definitely, close to 10 different universities across London that want to get involved within this campaign.
Just London, wow.
In just London, yeah.
I didn't know London had 10 universities. Are you sure you're not making that up?
No, we have...
got Blag Alert, bro.
No, there is a lot of universities in London.
How many? Google it
I
quickly.
don't know.
How many
Google it.
universities?
About 30.
30 universities
Probably,
in London.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You know the colleges and the.
Don't you remember your FOSIS days? How many
yeah.
ISOCs there were in London?
Oh yeah, I was London chair.
Exposed.
I was London chair. Back in my day, there was only 2 unis.
It shows how much you did for your ISOCs in your chair.
LSE and UCL, yeah.
Imperial. Yeah. 40. Wow.
Yeah. See?
So you only got 25%.
Well, if you help us, it's on 21C, we'll be able to
Hashtag I am change.
That's the one.
If you're a university or someone at a university, it's probably too late now though, isn't it? Because
no, there's so many. There's
because of
easy ways to get in touch.
Islamophobia, the Islamic societies have to jump through all these hoops for speakers and putting on events.
Yeah.
And stuff.
These are some of the things we want to change. Building relationships with universities through Islamophobia Awareness Month will allow us to actually address these issues that societies are facing. And we've seen that over the last couple of years that there's been campaigns on campus that have even changed how prevent is being used within universities, and that is through engagement of students and through kind of campaigns like Islamophobia Awareness Month. But yeah, if anybody is listening, there's very, very easy things you can do to get involved. You can
I would let you. I would give you permission now to do one thing I don't let anyone else do. Grab the mic closer when you're making an important point like this and look to the camera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't bottle this one.
Are you ready?
So once in
you ready, Ems?
Once in a lifetime.
Give the message to the people right there. I think I've only let one person do this so far.
Make sure the men logo is clear.
Men logo.
Are you ready?
Yeah. There you go.
What's your message for the people?
Get involved in Islamophobia Awareness Month 2019. Now.
Please.
That was quite good.
Practically, what can they do?
Practically, there's a number of things. So what Mend is offering, if you get in touch with us, you can hire out an Islamophobia Awareness
advertising
exhibition.
Mend, man. This is a thing. This is bigger than Mend. You're wearing the t-shirt. You've got a massive
I went
thing.
subtle. I had a little bag.
Yeah, look at this. Look,
You're in our
keep
office.
Keep it classy, bro.
You're in our office right now.
We're a guest, yeah.
Yes,
you're
gracious
guest.
You have to let us.
But no, I'm an empowered person. I feel I belong here. I'm entitled to be here.
But it's super,
I pay my £5 a month donation.
And this is what you're getting from it. But yeah, it's very easy. Islamophobia Awareness Month. So many things to do. You could get involved just by tweeting. You can get involved by hosting an event in your local community. You could just talk to your neighbors about what is Islamophobia. Talk to your local community about it. Just raise awareness about it. And even the most simplest thing you can do is go onto Islam21C's website and read some articles.
Mashallah.
Return the favor there.
Oh no, well, actually, it works.
Yeah.
And what you can't do is nothing.
Yes.
Correct.
That's quite a deep statement. You think about it, yeah? What you cannot do is nothing.
Just put thinking faces on.
Yeah.
I don't have a thinking face. So I actually, the fact that I put up Islamophobia Awareness Month yesterday, actually somebody WhatsApped me because I put out a poster about an event that is happening. Yeah. And they asked me, what is even the objective behind Islamophobia Awareness Month? And they couldn't rack their brains around it because they could understand that, okay, you've got Discover Islam Week, for example, or Islamic Awareness Week. And that is supposed to make sure that people understand the true representation of Islam, and then it brings them closer to the deen, and then eventually, people become Muslim.
Yeah. Don't tell me you thought it was increasing.
Yeah, you just didn't get it. And so I told him, and I think other people have this question as well. Yeah. It's very similar to Black History Month. It gives a chance for communities which are discriminated to actually talk about the issues that they're facing, and it gives awareness to that. And secondly, it allows actually the Muslim community to celebrate their achievements in order to start changing the public opinion surrounding Islam and Muslims within the society. So anything anybody can do to target those two objectives will significantly help during this month.
Plus, I mean, generally, I'm always up for a jolly. Any excuse to some month of this or that.
Yeah.
Why not?
There's actually, I think every single day in the calendar, there is something, like there's like a day for that particular thing.
Yeah.
And if you Google it, you know, every single day there's something happening.
Like Pancake Day and...
Yeah, there's ridiculous ones out there. Really
like you said,
ridiculous
Kiss a Ginger Day?
Kiss a Ginger Day. That's actually, that's the thing. I heard it in Parliament.
Why are you saying Earth? That's rude.
I actually came across it looking for these sound effects of John Burkow. Yeah, it's a good, funny video there. But
what are Islam 21C doing for Islamophobia Awareness Month? Turn the table.
Good question. And we created a hashtag called I am change. Put this part before right at the beginning. Yeah, I mean, alhamdulillah, we're happy to publish. We use these opportunities to recycle kind of very important
he's panicking.
Reshare, very important.
Feeling that something got hot in the room.
Please donate today. We do podcasts about this, Mend Office. And it's very important. We try and do whatever we can. But the main thing is the main power, linking to the whole democracy stuff, main power with regards to this is in the people's hands. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course. But if you see something online, for example, a Soundcloud article you think is good about Islamophobia, whatever, you want to share it, you want people to learn about it, you agree with it, then engage with that thing. Give it a like, give it a share, write a comment.
On that point, as you said, it's the people. You know, this campaign is not owned by a particular organization, and the only way that it's going to be sustained, the conversation about Islamophobia is going to be sustained, is that if people actually sustain it, people actually get involved. We can't just look at Mend, for example, and say, okay, they're tackling Islamophobia, so I'll leave it to them. You know, it's people need to take it up, and that's why our base is actually our volunteers. It's our grassroots presence. There's only 25 staff of Mend, whereas volunteers is like 700. You know, so the main work isn't being done by the 25. It's by the 700.
And we're getting amazing people getting in touch. So we've had people who work at KPMG, people who work at Rolls Royce, people who work at Network Rail getting in touch saying, I want to organize a presentation for all of the staff in my organization.
Excellent.
Can you guys come in and deliver a presentation? I'll put on some food. We do it over lunch. And we've had some huge successes just by people inviting us in.
People can still do that?
People can still do that.
100%.
Yeah. Take them one of those boards about exhibitions about Islamophobia.
That's really popular. The selfie board we've got, that's really popular.
Okay, excellent. So
I can see the plans in your mind. Like on the way out of the office, you're going to grab this. I'm going to check my stock count.
Those coffees. And this nice mug that I've been using. Why did you turn the camera down? Okay. Who are you going to vote for?
Aman Ali.
Aman Ali?
I'm going to vote for Mohammad Shoaib.
Okay, that's good. They've prepared that one. Yeah. I'll be voting for... I'm afraid that's all the time we have today. Jazakallah khair, everyone, for tuning in. This has been your host, Salman Butt, with a young and dynamic but very mature, mashallah, brothers, Mohammad Shoaib and Aman Ali from Mend, telling you to get out and vote, and I am change. If you like this podcast, give a like and a share. Remember, we are wherever you get your podcasts now, so subscribe, give us 5 stars and all that kind of good stuff, and be part of the spreading of this the good message. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.